Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'm excited to interview ArcaneAssassin, an expert in the Nameless in Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love for PvP. He'll share his build and give some great advice. Also a shout out to Asuka Langley, the leader of Log Horizon, for putting me in contact with ArcaneAssassin when I was looking for a PvP expert to interview. I learned a ton about Nameless and now see just how powerful this build can be, so stay tuned for all the details. But first, some great news. I have codes to give away. I have 10C, 10 global, and 10 EU codes. In the comments, say what do you think of the Nameless for PvP. Please include your Discord ID and what server you play on, such as C, global, or EU, and winners will start getting codes September 30th, 2025. With that, let's begin the interview. First, where does the name ArcaneAssassin come from? He replied, ArcaneAssassin comes to be because in the original game, many moons ago, I started off as an assassin main. When I started this game, I had that nostalgia and decided to have it be my name. Next, why did you choose the Nameless? He replied, I decided to main Nameless because it's the hero of my original class, which is Assassin. When I saw the skill kit they gave him, I knew it would be perfect for PvP, especially with the current meta for Magic Prison. Next, would you recommend the Nameless if you don't have an Alenia teammate? He replied, Nameless is mainly a roamer or Uber. Being an Uber for Alenia Cat is phenomenal but not a requirement. People can have fun playing it as a roamer or off DPS. His skills allow Nameless to mark an enemy and give your main DPS a chance to take it down easier. So you would dive in, mark it, and dart out. Staggering opponents that don't have Endure is also good and important in many PvP settings. Your mark to return when killed is also amazing, and leaving it on a specific spot, away from where people can destroy it, is also good to quick jump to that location like in War of Crystal. Next, how good is the Nameless in the current 6v6 meta and what is its role? He replied, currently in 6v6 Nameless shines as Alenia Uber along with Jormungandr. The reason for that is having 7 out of 7 Ruin allows you to have a perfect shadow. The shadow makes you tankier, helps DPS, makes you untargetable and invisible. That means that you force the other team to use True Sight, Insight card, and attack your shadow, if those two requirements aren't met in order to kill you more efficiently. Nameless also has a skill that gives you 3 seconds of taking no ranged or magic damage, and with his dash skill you can close the distance to an enemy. Having good communication and practice with your Alenia is a must if you want to be more competitive. Also, knowing when to pull back in an engagement is important, and the dash is tremendously helpful for that. Also, as a side note, AoE melee is something you have to watch out for, so making your Nameless tanky and resistance to CC is crucial for an Uber. Next, here's some footage and commentary from ArcaneAssassin and Moo showing just how tanky the Nameless can be with and without the clones.
No more damage, just my clone. Now this is the difference between taking damage without the clone. This is damage with the clone. She did 1k before, now she does 500 at the most.
Next, how good is the Nameless in the current GVG meta and what is its role? He replied, in GVG, Nameless is also best as an Uber or as a runner to bypass castle barricades, and enemy camps to summon your team to spots that will allow your guild a better attacking position. In GVG, having a high flee, high CC, and short skill cooldown while being tanky will make you a menace as an Uber. As a hero version of Assassin, you can also do great by killing Morok in GVG and taking down the Imperium. It's a very versatile class. Next, can you share your build? And he replied, for sure. I have several builds for Nameless, and the last one I used was for 12v12 and it was this one. Now from ArcaneAssassin's screenshot, you can see Zoomer's notebook is full of different builds of the Nameless to handle different situations with different builds. First, here's a gear overview for ArcaneAssassin. I'll go into this in more detail later in this video. Next, here's his shadow equipment, Oracle Mirrors, and Relic. I will now show the gear in more detail with screenshots from the game. This isn't taken from ArcaneAssassin's gear in case you're wondering why the enchants are a bit different. For offhand, he uses Unyielding Warband's Legacy. For card, he uses Hunter Walker card, which provides a lot of hit and damage to medium-sized monsters. For armor, he uses the Tide Rider's armor. For a card, the Blade Soul card, which provides a lot of damage to medium monsters. Next for garment, the Imperial Knight's Cape. For a card, the Jewel card for the auto attack damage boost per critical damage. Next for footgear, Dominator War Boots. For a card, the Wasteland Lord Star card, which gives 30% damage taken from medium monsters, also plus 100 defense, and damage taken minus 50% when you have 80% HP. Next, for both accessories, he uses the Steel Ambition. For a card, he uses the Biochemistry Baphomet card for the physical damage increase. For the tank build, the Alien Biochemistry Baphomet card is the best in slot and can be used for the insane final damage reduction. He also mentioned the Alien Gurm card is good too, but he doesn't have it. That does 15% damage to medium-sized monsters and also takes reduced damage from medium monsters per refined level. For his second accessory card, he uses the Devil Governor card for the skill and final damage boost. Next for the weapon, he uses the Inferno Shadow Blade. For cards, he uses the Paeon Glory card, which is great for dealing with these shields. The deposit is very nice to have too. Then the Insight Eye card, which lets you target the Nameless Shadows as well as Elf's Optical Camouflage skill. Next for headwear, he uses the Moonlight Bunny to protect equipment from being destroyed, head removal reduced by 50%, and when equipment is removed to have a shield. For a card, he uses the Alien Fallen Angeling card, which provides all abnormal status resist plus 20%, also immune to abnormal conditions when own's health is higher than 80%. Next for face, the Gold Foil Fox Mask is used to guarantee the critical. Next for mouth, the Frozen Fruit is used for physical penetration. For back, the Freya Wings for the chance to cast Lex. For tail, the Embroidered Chest for the crit and critical damage based on luck. Next for shadow equipment, he uses the Helion Bracelet, whose tier 5 effect of taking half damage if HP is above 90% is fantastic for survivability. Next, the Chosen's armor is great for immunity to fear. Next, Golden Manteau at tier 5 provides great anti-death when HP is less than 30%. Next, St. Mary's Cloth Shoes for the attack percentage. Next, Cat Paw Stamp and Hermit's Bundle for penetration percentage and melee physical damage respectively. Next for Oracle Mirror, he uses the plus 15 combustible knife for the massive penetration percentage boost. For defensive Oracle Mirror, he uses the Meteorite armor. For Relic, he uses the True Sight Relic to deal with other nameless and invisible units. ArcaneAssassin continues, for different occasions, I use different cards on weapons or headgears to convert. Since I play Uber or off DPS, converting enemies to a different element is important, and when the enemy uses True Sight, they can't use the Carver Knife, so they can't be prevented from being converted. This allows your Illenia to kill faster as an Uber or you as a roamer, and this is especially important because the Nameless doesn't have elemental boosts. Now in 6v6, switching elements is important since you have a 6v6 skill that will make the target invulnerable to that element, so keep that in mind. Also, new offhand cards do the same from the Gacha card machine. So you can use something like the accessory card to learn the skill Magnum Break to turn your weapon to fire, then engage, and then use the handbook switch to main convert build, and that does take a lot of practice though. Alternatively, you can put the elemental converters on the hotkeys to do the same thing so you don't have to use the handbook switch, but keep in mind this only works for earth, fire, wind, and water, as those consumables are only available on the hotkeys, but if you have a dark or holy build that won't work, since consumables don't exist for that. Now you could put 2 accessories in the hotkey, but you must save the build while equipping the Marine Sphere card and make sure to have Magnum Break saved in a bar, so when you swap accessories the skill is grayed out. Otherwise you may equip cards, but the Magnum Break skill won't be in the bar to use. Some of the cards I use are unfortunately BCC cards, but that is the way of trying to top the ranks. Here are some of the other cards I use. There's Valkyrie's Blessing card for converting attack to holy, the Kenophobia Knight card for converting attack to dark, the Child of the Sun card for converting target to dark, and the Ancient Crystal card for converting target to fire. You can also build it as a full tank, so instead of mixing DPS and tanky gear like I do for my build, you can focus on being as tanky as you can be, and Vuri is a great example of that. For enchants, I only use the bare minimum stun and freeze. I wanted to focus on DPS more since the Alenia I had could shackle me on command. For Magic Prison, I use same gear, just use more freeze resist, same stun, and 120% petrify resist. I have gear with different CC resist for different PvP settings, and CC resist is crucial. Next for Vance Ruin rerolling. For PvP exclusively, if you plan to be an Uber, which I think the devs wanted it to be, it would be these three. Painkiller Star Ruin, Killing Intent Spreading Ruin, and the Calm Action Ruin. For Arcane Ruins, the White Blade, Cunning Ruin, and Aid Ruin. If you have Spiritual Blade Relic and no Nameless on another team, then Spiritual Blade and Tai Chi Ruins are best. Also, Final Damage Reduction Ruin is important if going full tank. I use the others because I'm off DPS and Uber, but no need to have White Blade Ruin in most cases, as it's very rare to have just one enemy only within 5 meters. Next for Relic, I use the True Sight, but if I roam and versus a very strong Divine Avenger, Reflect is gonna kill me, so I use Anti-Physical Reflect. Next for Equipment Memory, I came from a main DPS PvP and PvE background. Nameless at the top ranks under 32 teams for competitive content would be better as a tank, anti-CC, and convert build just like Jormungandr. My hybrid build is because I come from main DPS, so I picked most DPS memories before Nameless came out, which is all DPS, so the transition has been a bit rough. That being said, I didn't swap out anything from my prayer cards or memory. I just adjusted to being a bit more tanky with gear and cards since I play as an Uber. Next for skill inheritance, Shadow Chase is the best for free-to-play players. For Uber, off DPS, or Roamer, Dupo Light. Freya's wings are BCC wings, but they're incredibly good along with Dupo Light inheritance skill. The Lex will proc from Dupo Light. Next, can you share your stats? He replied, this is my deposit and numbers for the handbook. Because I came from main DPS class, my hybrid build works really well. In 2v2, which is Alenia's versus Uber, I do fairly well, since having a bit of my DPS and convert aids in killing enemy Ubers faster. Nameless isn't meant to be made into a full DPS, and Glass Cannon only works in PvE when you have a full support team behind you. ArcaneAssassin has 1.16 million HP, 67,000 attack, 12.5 thousand defense, 6.9 thousand magic defense, 522 hit, 539 flee, 181.7% penetration, 432 critical, 456.4% critical damage, 61.4% auto attack damage increase, 21% skill damage increase, 126% defense, 31% physical piercing strike. If you go the full tank route, max out luck, since its innate ability to use it as a buffer to reducing your damage taken is exceptionally good. Then max out Vit and Agi. My tank build is for GVG, and those are the stats I use for it. Being able to have higher flee versus an enemy that uses True Sight Relic will force them to use cards that increase their hit in order to hit you. That is why Nameless is so good, it can be built in many different ways. Also, for Guild Blessings, they are maxed for offense and about 70% on defense. Having a good mix of both is important. Next, can you share your manual and auto skills? He replied, these are my auto and manual setups for all my builds. This is his first manual bar, and this is his second manual bar. Next, I did ask him for his skill rotation, and he replied, you don't want to cast your clones unless you're close to an enemy, especially because a clone will target whatever enemy is closest. Also, the Nameless clone inherits some of the Nameless attributes, so you can technically have a clone buff build. In order for your clone to do more damage, just like Liu Maoxing, who can use a handbook switch to boost his magic attack in order to get a bigger shield and then switch to its main tank class. You can use a boost clone build, then cast out your clone and handbook switch to main build to fight. I usually use a clone when I'm ready to engage, then I use my elemental convert and follow it up with assassination formation. Once assassination formation hits my target, I switch to my main element if needed and I dash to close in the distance. If the enemy moves in with many others, I stay back and wait a bit with my group in order to get aid if I'm getting battered too hard. Once I dash to my target, after assassination formation, I instantly cast Destiny Death. This is your bread and butter in order to quickly kill an enemy that can heal. Then I followed up immediately with Deadly Shadow. I do this because some classes are too tanky and use Hylian Bracelet and Wasteland Lord Star combo and Alien Archangeling card. Dropping their HP fast to make those cards less useful is extremely important. Next, here's some of his skill rotation in action. Again, we're back with ArcaneAssassin and Mu for some commentary and footage.
Okay, she gets marked. She's marked. And then she gets destroyed by the main skill. So when she's marked, she's gonna take extra damage. Now of course I also, this is on. 30 auto attack. So this should always be on. Do you see that X? Again, she's got the shield. Marked. Taken down. It'd be a lot easier if I had my clones. Let's put the clones on. So I'm gonna do the little switch. Same thing, Mu, if you can, please. I'm gonna put my safety. I'm gonna elite, release the clone. That's the order that I use it on. Then I put this, dash in, mark. Oh, too strong. That clone is too powerful by itself. Also, Mu's not using the tank, so I'm gonna let her get killed by the clone. And let's see just how powerful the clone is. Ah, the clone is dead, but she's almost dead. With the clone and my other shadow, you can see her dying even with the shield. She didn't get marked. That's how powerful the clone can be. Now this is the buffed version of the clone. Should be able to take you out. Yep, makes a huge difference to buff of the clone. So it goes from not being able to kill you to it being able to kill you and having... How much health does he have? Okay, now I'm gonna go full attack mode. You ready? Kill the clone.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna go full attack mode. With the clone and everything. You ready to defend yourself, Moon?
Nope.
I like that attitude. That's a true... Ah, dang it. Spirit of a champion. Oh, nice. All I have to do is mark you, wait. Yep. Put the mark of the beast. Okay, let's see that damage again. Without the clone, 100, 100. That's because, there we go. The shield's gonna be off. Then I take like 400. Go, 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 go. Aw, the shield's back on. So that's the importance of hitting fast. Anyway, clone is out. My damage is way less. I use this. I take no more damage. I mark her PP and kill it. Oh, I forgot to use this. Deadly Gaze. And I forgot to use the other one. But I can still kill her. Let's see. Take no damage. Clone. There we go. Cat is dead.
Next, can you share any tips for playing the Nameless in PvP? He replied, Nameless is a class that takes practice. Using the skill rotation is something you have to practice so you don't make a mistake in a crucial moment. Having your buff handbook switch is also something you can practice, but that's a lot easier to do. Just setting it up is the main thing. The elemental switching is also something to practice. I still sometimes forget to change my element before engaging an enemy, and that few seconds they become invulnerable to the damage from it is very costly. Next, if you could ask the devs to change something about the Nameless, what would they be? He replied, for them to increase assassination formation from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. This would be a game changer. Many classes have skills that essentially make them invulnerable for 5 seconds or more. Nameless needs that too. Next, would you recommend the Nameless for free-to-play players? And that's around 70% deposit. He replied, absolutely. Even with 70% deposit, Nameless can be a great asset to a team. Like I mentioned before, Nameless isn't meant to be a main DPS, it's a roamer that picks off support, a great mobility character that can be better positioned in your team in GVG or in Uber, which if you can get a cat on you will make your experience a lot better, since the kit for it leans in the Uber for cat direction. Also, Nameless will force the enemy to use relics and cards that otherwise may not be necessary if there isn't a Nameless on the field. The easiest route would be to make your Nameless resistance to CC, so your enchants have to be on point. The most crucial ones I think would be anti-freeze at 150% plus, anti-stun 120% plus, and anti-petrify at 120% plus. For sleep or silence, you can use headgear, cards, and consumables. Note that for silence consumables, they are easily available. For someone with low deposit, focus on making it tanky. The gears are easy to come by and cards fairly inexpensive. Things get expensive if you try to be super competitive and be top ranking, since your best cards would be Visa and MasterCard, but that's true for all the top ranking classes in tournaments. But it is a very inexpensive class to use and can be a bigger bang for your buck. Finally, do you have any shoutouts? He replied, shout out to my guildies at Ouroboros, you guys are amazing. Shout out to Log Horizon, those guys are great. To Ord, who helped me with my build. To my 6v6 team, Chaos, Korean, Seraph, Pel, and Moo. To WobblyWallaby for making great ROM content and making rank lists for characters. And finally, to Very for posting his latest tank build for Nameless. I want to thank ArcaneAssassin once again for sharing so much about his build, answering all my questions, recording footage, providing screenshots, and more. Be sure to give him lots of love in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I recommend. And if you want more interviews, check out this playlist over here.